The Houston Texans got a little white elephant present on Monday when they were awarded Diontae Johnson off of waivers from the Baltimore Ravens. Johnson, the former Steeler Panther, was traded to the Ravens earlier this year. Didn't work out for him in Baltimore, and he was put on waivers after a little bit of a tiff with the Ravens organization. Didn't want to go into a game, got suspended from team activities. The Ravens moved on, and the Texans are set to benefit from Johnson ending up in Houston. Now, the conversation around his time in Baltimore, I don't know exactly what went down. The only people that do are the Ravens and Diontae Johnson. But I do know that when the Texans put in a waiver claim, the other team to put in the waiver claim was Jim Harbaugh's Los Angeles Chargers. And so if Harbaugh was okay with other Harbaugh's former player, I got to imagine the Texans will be just fine with Diontae Johnson. And look, DeMeco Ryans, CJ Stroud, that locker room, I'm not worried about Diontae Johnson being any sort of a problem for the Houston Texans. Now, what does he bring on the field? What type of player is Diontae Johnson? Well, a few years ago, he's a 1,000-yard receiver, scored 8 touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He hasn't quite been able to recapture that level of success, but he can run most of the routes that you need him to run. He's a possession guy. He'll go up there and get the football. He's not the speediest guy out there, but it certainly feels like he is the potential to be more productive than John Mechie, Robert Woods, or Xavier Hutchinson at this point in their Texans careers. Now, we won't see Diontae Johnson on Wednesday against the Baltimore Ravens for the Christmas Day game, though I got to imagine any sort of intel he could provide since he became a member of the Texans ends up as a little bit useful in that matchup. But Johnson will have a little bit of time here. Get in the building, get acclimated, understand what the Texans can give him from an offensive standpoint, get the crash course going, and then he'll have that week leading up to Tennessee with a few practices, the Tennessee Titans game, and the practices ahead of the playoff game to ultimately get acclimated to Houston and see if he can help the Houston Texans in their playoff game. This is not about the Ravens game or the Titans game finishing out the regular season. Diontae Johnson is on this team to help them out in the playoffs against whoever they play, which, by the way, the two most likely teams that the Texans are set to play right now, how about Diontae Johnson's former teams, either the Baltimore Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers, depending on who ends up in that 5 spot if the Texans end up sticking in that 4 spot. How fun would it be for Diontae Johnson to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs for the Houston Texans? I got to imagine he'd be really jazzed up for that opportunity, and that's another reason I feel like he's going to be on his best behavior. Plus, Johnson's set to be a free agent at the end of the year. This was supposed to be a contract year for him. Hadn't quite gone the way he wants to, so anything he can do in these little weeks that he's here with the Texans could build him some value headed into the offseason. I want to play a little game with you. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas! Cody Claus wants to give you a gift. How about $50 to Prize Picks? Stick around at the end of the video. We'll put together a Prize Picks entry, and I'll tell you how to get that free 50. Let's do optimistic outlook, pessimistic outlook, and the realistic outlook for Diontae Johnson. I'll start with the optimistic outlook for Diontae Johnson. Optimistically, this guy comes in the building. He's a model citizen while he's here for the Houston Texans. And the Texans right away take advantage of his ability to go out there and play at a pretty high level. He's played a lot of football, a tremendous amount of football compared to Xavier Hutchinson or John Mechie. He's younger and has a lot more juice to his game than Robert Woods. And optimistically, the Texans are able to use him right away. He becomes a consistent opposite to Nico Collins in the offense. And let's just say, for the sake of optimism, they play his former team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the 4-5 matchup, and Diontae Johnson's able to score a touchdown. What you really want out of Johnson, who was very successful in his 7 games with the Carolina Panthers when the Panthers were struggling mightily on offense, Johnson had about 30 catches, 350 yards, and 3 touchdowns in that time. And again, that was a struggling Carolina Panthers offense when Johnson had that success in his 7 games earlier this season with the Panthers. Let's say he's able to replicate some of that success, get you a handful of catches each of the games that he plays, scores that touchdown against his former team, and just gives CJ Stroud an option that on a semi-consistent basis gets open and Stroud can go and find him for some first downs, move the chains a little bit, and then maybe even that score against his former team. Now, that was the optimistic outlook. Let's go into the pessimistic outlook. Pessimistically, it's very hard to see how he makes a major impact with the amount of time that he has in the building. Look, I mentioned he was very good a few years ago, over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, but hasn't reclaimed a lot of that throughout the course of those following years in the NFL. So he hasn't quite been that player, maybe a little step slower, maybe not as focused because he's here on his third team. And pessimistically, he's got 2 weeks to learn the playbook, get on the same page with his brand new quarterback, yet another quarterback this season. CJ Stroud's got to get in tune with him as well. And the opponent the Texans are going to play, probably a pretty tough defense there in either Baltimore or Pittsburgh. It may be very difficult for Diontae Johnson to find himself any sort of success on the field in a pessimistic outlook of his time with the Houston Texans. And another pessimistic element is, what if he just doesn't fit in? And if he doesn't fit in, look, he's not going to be here, claimed on waivers, and cut a couple of days later. Don't think it'd be that pessimistically, but if it just doesn't ever click, I mean, this is a pretty close-knit team. They haven't had a lot of guys in and out of the locker room on the offense, especially at the skill position standpoint. So it may be tough for Diontae Johnson to crack into the friendship that the current team has amongst the offensive players. And if he felt like he was good enough to be on the field in Baltimore when Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews were getting the ball ahead of him, I got to imagine he wouldn't be too happy if Xavier Hutchinson and Robert Woods and John Mechie and Dalton Schultz are getting the ball ahead of him as well. So maybe there's the pessimistic outlook. Realistically, let's go to the realistic outlook here for Diontae Johnson. Look, he's a pro, and he's played a lot of football, and that should help him get a nice, solid foundation in the short amount of time that he does have with this Houston Texans team. In theory, he's got 3 weeks with the Texans if they don't win their playoff game, 4 if they play one more playoff game, 5, and so on and so forth. You see it there, but he's a veteran. He's played a lot of football, and you have to trust a guy like that to come in. He's still got some athleticism to his game, and he has had some success in the league that he can point to, and he knows what it takes to be successful in the NFL. He has done it at the NFL level. So realistically, he's in the rotation with Robert Woods, with John Mechie, with Xavier Hutchinson, and maybe ends up ahead of the younger guys in Hutchinson and Mechie, and maybe just below and behind Robert Woods in the wide receiver pecking order, because the Texans do trust Robert Woods quite a bit, and they love that Robert Woods goes out there and blocks really well for them. I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew anything about Diontae Johnson's blocking ability. I know that most guys don't have the blocking ability that Robert Woods has, so that's why in a realistic outlook, I'd say that he finishes just a little bit ahead of the young guys and right behind Robert Woods in that wide receiver pecking order. But hey, if you're in the latter part of the season like the Texans are, and you end up with a solid wide receiver 3 off the waiver wire, what more can you ask for? It's a shot at redemption for Diontae Johnson. Do you believe he's going to get his redemption here with the Texans? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Pretty happy that the Texans ended up making the claim on Johnson. I know it's more reactive to the Tank Dell injury. I probably would have tried to claim him anyway, even if Tank Dell was still healthy, but it makes sense with Dell's injury to go ahead and get Johnson in the building, give him an opportunity to fit in as soon as he can with that wide receiver room. And look, if he's pretty impressive in the few weeks you have him in NRG Stadium, maybe he wants to hang around. Maybe the Texans want him to hang around, and you've got a veteran with a little bit of potential hanging around in 2025. I told you in the middle of the video, if you're paying attention, we put together a prize picks entry. Stay tuned for that at the end of this video. Ultimately, I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, hope you're having a happy holidays. If you have to work over the holidays, I know I certainly appreciate that you're putting in the time, you're working over the holiday season. And I hope you take some time to enjoy the holiday season as well. Thank you, everybody. It's a great gift that all of you watch the videos, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and say such nice things most of the time in the comment section. There's a few naughty ones in there that deserve some coal in their stocking. But thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon. Hey, it's been a minute since we've done a food review. How about a little food review on the Reese's Chocolate Lava Big Cup? So Reese has been doing these big cups for a while now. They got the big cup with caramel in it. They got a couple of other varieties of big cups. They got your traditional big cup. This one's got chocolate lava, milk chocolate and peanut butter, the chocolatey filling. So pretty excited about this one. If you don't know how the food reviews work, they're going to go from 1 to 11, 11 being Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, 1 being, well, whoever you think the worst football player of all time is. Right away, pretty mushy in the middle. Already lost a little bit of chocolate there. Pretty mushy in the middle. I'm wondering if that has led to some structural integrity here, or some structural integrity issues, if you will, in the Reese's Big Cup Chocolate Lava. So let's take a look here. I have a seemingly large knife to cut this thing in half with here. So let's take a look. All right, so I didn't want to do a little cross section here. That does look a little lava-esque. I mean, it is not like totally liquid flowing out the bottom, but it is quite liquidy, and it does mess with the structural integrity of the Reese's cup. It is not as solid as it usually is. Let's get to what you're all here for, the actual taste test of the Reese's Big Cup Chocolate Lava. Okay, I get just like a very lava forward taste here, just to kind of get. I'm making a mess here. There's not a lot of flavor to the lava. I mean, the chocolate lava, it doesn't punch you in the mouth or anything. It does get quite messy if you cut it in half and try to show it to a camera, but I'm not sure that that's better than just having a little bit more Reese's peanut butter filling in there. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't drastically change anything. It's not quite like frosting. It's not quite like pudding, but it's kind of in between there. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think there's a massive change to your Reese's peanut butter cup if you get the chocolate lava versus some of the other ones. Now, the caramel, definitely a massive change, but I mean, that's just basically like kind of frosting, but not quite. Yeah, frosting / pudding in the middle there, or at the very bottom there. Let's go here. Let's get the score out. Let's figure this thing out here. Look, I love a Reese's peanut butter cup. Reese's does, I think, the best job with their candy, and even some of their outside the box stuff still ends up pretty good. This one, a little underwhelming. There's so many other Reese's things that are better. That hurts this score. We'll go with a 7.2 on this one. A 7.2 for the Reese's Chocolate Lava Big Cup. A 7.2. If you find this in your stocking, you might not be super pumped, but you're not going to be too disappointed. Either a 7.2 for the Reese's Chocolate Lava Big Cup. All right, I told you we put together a Prize Picks entry. I told you how to get $50 from Prize Picks. Well, you play your first five and you get $50 at Prize Picks. You sign up using my code STOOTS, STOOTS. Links in the description down below. Use my code STOOTS when you get signed up, and they'll give you $50 when you play your first five. You don't even have to win. You just have to play it, and they'll give you $50 to continue to play with on Prize Picks, the best, easiest way to play daily fantasy. Let me show you how easy it is. You got the NFL tab right there. You hit this little calendar. Okay. And you can select all the games that you do or don't want to pick from. I'm picking straight from the Texans situation. We're going to rushing and receiving touchdowns. I mean, Derrick Henry scoring a touchdown. It's the Houston Texans. He's playing some of the best football of his career. I'm putting Derrick Henry in there right now. Passing touchdowns. Surely CJ Stroud's putting one into the end zone. And Lamar Jackson, more or less than 1.5. Lamar's balling right now, trying to win himself an MVP. More for Lamar Jackson. And going down here to our receptions. Receptions, these little arrows, so you can change the number here. So Nico Collins, 7 receptions against the Chiefs. He's the dude on this offense now with no Tank Dell. I feel like he can definitely get more than 4.5 receptions. All we need is 5. So Henry, Stroud, Lamar, and Nico, we're going to power play this. We're going to put this in here, and we're going to get the chance to 2 times our money. 10 will win us 20. We put this together. You can also put the flex play together where you don't have to win all the pieces of the entry, and you can still win something, but it's that easy to put something together over on Prize Picks. They've always got discounts and specials and so many different fun things. Flex Friday, where they give you credit back if you don't win your flexed entry. And it's so much fun. It's so easy. Get signed up, play your first 5, get $50 when you use my code STOOTS. That's STOOTS. That's STOOTS, STOOTS. Links in the description down below. They're my friends at Prize Picks. Check them out. Get your $50 and play with the best and easiest way to play daily fantasy. That's my friends at Prize Picks.